we are ready to begin. I believe we'll let the AV people set up.
All right.
And then we'll go to the town.
How about a big hand for the National Steinbeck Center letting us have this fun? Yeah. Remember the acoustics from over there the last time we tried this stuff?
We have, and also we have a good sound system.
Absolutely. Thank you. How about a hand for the sound man?
I just want to say a couple other thank yous since we are thanking people. I wanted to thank the director of the National Steinbeck Center, Susan Chillingwell.
Yes.
And some teachers that were really influential. You know, they went up to the student in the back of the room and said, "You must know a story." And that happened. Ashley Schaefer at North High, Natalie Bernasconi at Alice High. Natalie really did a lot for this. Megan Myers at Alvarez and Alexander Schneck at Salinas High. So we had all those schools. And of course, we want to make this bigger and better. If you believe in storytelling, you really should. Isn't it the oldest thing we've been doing for thousands of years?
Second oldest thing we've been doing.
And we won't talk about the first. Okay,
yeah.
Good. When people say, I can't find any storytellers, but you know, when you look out of, you know, out in the hall of a school, there's 500 kids telling stories. Okay, that's all on that. I think we got everything except the judges. I like Mark is going to introduce the judges, and then we'll start with Eric. Woo!
I recognize some of you. It's good to see you again. I'm sorry that I can't remember your names because I have short-term memory loss. Ladies and gentlemen, it's really good to see you again. Anyway, so thank you very much for coming this evening. We have 3 excellent judges here this evening and me. Steve is the publisher of Foolish Times, and he's an excellent salesman, a really nice guy, and he really knows how to shave his head. So we're really happy to have you here. If you want to get published, if you want to run a company, anything, if you want to know what common sense is, this is the guy. These 2 fine folks, Richard Best and Sharon Sumner Shannon, there's extra points if you can remember that at the end of the night, are 2 of the best poets and nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. They win contests. They coach students to podium finishes at contests. They befriended me 20-something years ago, and I'm still here. So, and I'm Mark Gurley. I wrote Salinas Blues and a whole bunch of other things, and that and $4.65 will get me a good cup of hot chocolate at the Cherry Bean. And Michael Roddy, ladies and gentlemen, for putting all this off. Is Gina here?
Yes.
Gina's here. Scorekeeper. Oh, come on, give her a big hand.
Gina keeps you here for the shortest amount of time possible, because she has a system, we have a system where we judge. It's like 3 or 4 minutes after we finish the last person, we have it judged. Okay, so I'm not going to sell the secret to anybody else, but I went to one event and it took like an hour afterwards. Anyway, good. I'd like to National Steinbeck Center marketing coordinator, Eric Moore.
Thank you so much for joining us today for the 2nd annual Story Slam, presented presented by the National Sandvik Center and the Salinas Union High School District. So today you will hear stories prepared by students from the Salinas Union High School District on the theme of mischief. We're so thankful that you guys decided to come and join us today. We're thankful for the judges and of course for Mike Karate, the performing arts coordinator for the Salinas Union High School District, who really was the one who organized all of this wonderful event. We hope that you enjoy yourselves today, and we'll get started shortly.
I love this quote. Storytelling is the greatest technology that humans have ever created. It's the basis for almost everything in society. And the way we interact, build, communicate, live, and dream all derives from it. Okay, I thought we'd start off first with not our students who are in competition. By the way, first place is $100, second place $75, and third place $50.
Wow.
Okay. So
for reading a story well?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay. Now, I asked two of the judges to see what an adult writes, and then you can compare it with the students. They're not in competition, but they have to recall a story with the theme of mischief. So I'm really interested to see what they came up with. And if it's not good, feel free to boo. Oh, no.
Boo me, that's okay. I'm not.
Anyway, we're going to start off with Mark Gurley. He's got something to tell us.
Yeah.
Hello, nice to see you all again. Anyway, this is not a contest-winning story. This is a draft from a piece I wrote called Spider in the Snow. He zoomed downhill from the Net Drive in San Carlos and zigzagged uphill from the Pepper Tree Market in Belmont, the next town where he would pay $1 for a bottle of Coca-Cola or 15 cents for a square scoop of delicious chocolate ice cream at Thrifty, then ride to Redwood City, the next town, to the Whitefront department store at the edge of the earth. Zooming downhill on a cool bike was like being on a roller coaster without the bar across his legs, without waiting in long, slowly moving lines, without all the crying kids and adults around. Downhill speed was 1,000,000 miles an hour. Faster than the Green Monster at Union Grove Raceway. Faster than Wayne's 57 Chevy Hot Rod with the dual fuel pumps and Nicky Thompson's. Faster than Dad's old Plymouth Fury 3 or Dad's new 70 Pontiac Grand Prix. The fastest car on the planet. Zooming downhill, he felt the wind breaking against his face, breaking against his glasses, and he hoped that the wind would break the glasses and that he could see clearly. Zooming downhill, he could hear the wind rushing past. He could hear the cars and motorcycles and airplanes, and he heard all of the sounds that his bike made. He loved those sounds. Riding home took some time. 2 cities away, the return was uphill all the way, in the snow, and the temperature was always 40 degrees below. There are huge hills. It did take some time. Zigzagging across empty streets was fun. Besides, what cars did come up or down waited for him to pass. Waited for him to pass. Yeah, he was the man. Now, the older kid next door used clothespins to attach playing cards to everyone's bike spokes. Now, no one remembers what kind of bike the older kid had, but everyone remembers the sound of the clacking cards slapping against silver spokes. That was the sound that motorcycles made. He wanted a real motorcycle, a BSA Gold Star or a Honda CB350, but his mom hated motorcycles and their riders. The blue Schwinn 5-speed Stingray quasi-motorcycle was perfect. He was the man. And now, through his sunglasses, on his specialized Cirrus, on the Monterey Bay Coastal Trail, he can see the actual speed of 33 miles per hour as he pedals downhill hard from Marina towards Sand City. And now he's on the flatland, so the speed is only 13 miles an hour, the slow bicycle movement. He sees the hawks and the vultures above. He sees blue water on the right, and he hears all of the trucks, all of the cars, all of the motorcycles on the left. Motorcycles are much louder now. Cars sound and look exactly the same now. It's not easy to know the difference between a Chrysler or a Honda or a Toyota. The sound and the shape are all the same. Not one rider on the trail has playing cards on their spokes. No one knows how to zigzag uphill anymore. It's hard to imagine that anyone rides from the hilltops of San Carlos to Redwood City Shore, where the White Front Store and the Circle Star Theater used to be. It's hard to imagine parents allowing that to happen now. He doesn't often see kids riding from Marina to Pacific Grove on the weekends. He rarely sees a rider without a helmet. He never sees a Schwinn 5-speed on the trail. Thank you.
And I was always envious of those kids that had cards on their bikes with that, their mother's, clothespin. But we didn't have a pack of cards in the house.
We only had the one clothespin, so it's really hard to get.
Okay, our final free adult section is Richard.
Richard Best, the best poet of Salinas, ladies and gentlemen.
Which I'm not going to prove right this moment. I don't have anything prepared to match that. When it comes to mischief, I think of the stories of Coyote. If you haven't studied the Native American mythology any, I will say theology, but that's something else entirely. The Great Spirit gave Coyote the stars in a bag, and he told them to set them out, just so, and they were all supposed to be columns and rows and columns and rows, one here, one here, one here, one. Well, Coyote started off doing that. After a few hours, said, I'm hungry. I'm not getting anywhere very fast. And what does it matter anyway? He picked the bag up from the bottom in his mouth and he swung it around and shook everything out of it, and that's how we ended up with the Milky Way. Then he went and found himself something to eat. I remember the story about his penis, but I'm not going to tell you that. And I remember the story about his asshole, but I'm not going to tell you that one either. Although kind of related to that, one day the dogs decided they needed some holy visions, and so they did a sweat lodge. And outside of the sweat lodge, they took off all their coats and they left them lying there, each in its own place. Coyote came along, what's going on? Went up on top of the lodge, very likely, you can imagine. You have to be. And he heard what was going on, and he went to the door and kind of poked his nose in, but not enough that anybody could see. They're doing a sweat lodge. And here are all their coats. Picked each one up and he moved it somewhere else. And when the dogs came out, not knowing any better at first, they each put on a coat that was lying where they left their coat lying. And they just went, I smell funny. I don't smell like myself. Who has that coat? And they all ran around sniffing each other, and that's why dogs smell each other's asses when they meet, because they're trying to find their own coat. There you go.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to go to our storytellers, all from district school, local high schools. And we'll start off with Rebecca Gonzalez. It's okay. Can you do it with that? She can do it without the notes, right?
Ooh.
Yeah.
If she's ready.
You go, girl.
So,
There's a microphone right there.
You need the microphone?
If you nervous, take a breath, relax.
Rebecca.
I have a confession. Mom, Dad, I broke the iPad with my butt. Wait, before you come on, look over here and pull my ear and possibly kill me after this event, let me tell the ultimate reason why I shouldn't die a painful and unforgiving death. So I remember this one time we were coming from the grocery store in the car, and I was pondering upon this word that could only be an analogy to bleach or some kind of toothpaste. And my brain just probably broke down and gave in to the word holy water. So I was trying to make up the solution to whenever a person commits a sin or a bad thing is to essentially drink a gallon of holy water and it'll be okay. And I should take notes. Thus, because of my creative analogy of holy water and absolution and bleach, I should not die from, breaking the iPad. But this is a segue to the night I almost died. 3 a.m. I placed the iPad next to the chair near my bed, of which after I binge watched Korean dramas, or ones with Janky and Suck, and then I dreamt a dream where I was a heroine in a love triangle of these two Korean guys, and then 3:15. I woke up startled and a little angry because because 3:20. I woke up startled and really a little angry because it's okay to read the.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, you guys. I don't even want to read the story. Oh, goodness.
3:20.
3:15 actually.
That's 3:15.
3:15. I woke up to startle because the love triangle suddenly became an LGBTQ couple where I was the supporting cast. So just every fangirl's worst nightmare to have her love stolen away from her, from someone else, and her own dreams. And 3:20. I walked around the desolate house, still bewildered of my dream, trying to make sense of it, and trying to tell myself, the only way to do this happen in real life. 3:22. I sat in solitude in my room, in which I sat down, and I heard a crack, and then felt an unfamiliar surface. 3:23. Stunned of what I did, and still angry at my love rival, I hid the iPad. I had the evidence. And the next 2 days, questions began to emerge until the iPad came into light. As I am an angel in the eyes of many, I pointed the finger to my sister and insisted that she did it. I suffered no expense of consequences as I am an angel, but I did ponder, to be or not to be? That is the question. And then the next day I looked on Google and eBay how much a gallon of holy water costs.
Rebecca. Isn't it great to have our youth, the youth of our community, getting an opportunity to talk, express themselves? Okay. Well, how are the judges doing? Basketball there. Okay, good. Okay, our next storyteller is Diana Garcia Chavez. Not here. Somebody call her tomorrow. She missed 100. No play. Okay, our next one, Jonathan Anderson.
You have a list in a different order than we do, or are you just doing something with Mark here? Because you just, on our list, you just said Silver Victor, San Juan, and...
Yeah, no, I'll do it.
You're not very sophisticated.
Okay. Okay, so our next one would be Victor San Juan.
Has anyone ever tried ice skating? Anyone? Yes. Yes? Okay. I'm about to tell you my experience of ice skating. When my friends called me, they basically want to actually bring me to a place that's called the Water City Ice Rink. It's a place I recommend for you people, like if you're bored around Salinas or you have nothing better to do. They call me because, well, I have nothing better to do around the weekends anyways, because, yeah, pretty much. And they basically tell me if I want to come. I was worried. And,
Can you all hear him?
No, put it closer to your mouth.
okay.
There you go.
So they called me, and I said, yes, I tag along with this. And they picked me up. 20 or 30 minutes later, we arrived at our location. The place, honestly, it was very sketchy, honestly. The building itself looked like a warehouse. Right next to it, there's like an old abandoned buildings, honestly, that belonged to Fort Ord, and a sign that says free snacks inside. So when I actually got out of the car, when I actually look at the window of the car, I can barely see free signs that says from a distance, obviously I can't even read it. I thought that they look like windows, obviously, but no, it just says ice skating. So we got in the car, and I followed them inside. What I saw was glass walls, American flags, kids skating around, and a guy skating backwards. So yeah, that kind of stuff. So once we rented the ice skates, they rented the ice skates while I rented the ice skates too. I opened the wooden gate. If you catch me saying I was a bit worried, honestly, that's because I have never done ice skating. Before all of this, honestly, they call me hey, are you good at ice skating? And I said, yes, I am very good at ice skating. And basically, yeah, you know how this is gonna work. I fall and basically hit a slam through the wall. well, before when I pulled down the railing. They knew I was lying, honestly, but they basically kind of laughed at my own at me failing, honestly.
Victor, you got 1 more minute.
Okay. And basically, we have fun afterwards, even though like it was a bit painful at the end of me basically just falling through the whole time. It was like 3 hours, honestly, of falling. So yeah.
Thank you, Victor. Okay, going back again, and Diana Garcia Chavez is here, and Jesus Turbin.
Hello, my name is Susie Turbin. Awesome. Alright. I don't know, when I was little, I was told that a life, giving birth is the most precious thing ever, and most families think the same, but not for this little boy. This little boy was born into a poor family, poor boy, am I right? But he didn't choose this life. He was chosen for, you know, when you're born, you don't choose to be born. And well, this poor boy was born in East Los Angeles. I'm totally before you know. And this poor boy didn't have much. His parents felt bad, obviously, worked 2 jobs, lived with a babysitter, usually family. So the family really couldn't take care of themselves because they were poor themselves. So they had to hand them over to other people. So basically this 1-year-old boy, maybe even less, was handed down to many families. And finally the family decided to send him to adoption. And we all know adoption is a hard moment for most families. And they took him to the center. They said, I can't take care of my son. Please find the best family for him. Of course, said their goodbyes. I love you, son. I love you, son, both mom and dad. He grew up there 2 years. You know, went to school there. They taught him a couple stuff. And then families came in, saw him all the time, like, hey, we're looking for our own child, can't have our own family, because you know a lot of people can't have their own families. So they look up for adoption. And they saw, a lot of people saw this little boy like, we want a son, but you're just not the one. And that happened a lot of families came, it kept happening, and then the boy kept growing and growing, and then little by little he would realize, maybe I don't deserve a family, you know? And then he was, let's say, 5th grade. He wasn't friendly because he didn't know what love or family was. So he would get invited to friends' houses, but it wasn't really fun. He just didn't know what to do. He just didn't know what to do. He never was taught how to love or how to have friends. And he finally, then 6th grade came. A family came, and they just wanted a child. They kind of weren't really looking for something. They just wanted a child. And they saw this poor boy, saw he was pretty sad. And they talked to him, and they said, oh, they started talking about, can you tell me about yourself? Like, oh, I like math, I like to read. Basically, since I don't do much, I spend my time reading and just working on homework. And they said, well, we have another adopted son, and he likes that too. Maybe he'll like your company. And they took him along, but this boy was a bad boy. You could say mischievous. You could say he was mischievous. And they were very playful. He learned how to have more friends. He was more, he knew how to trust more. He saw a little bit of love, not much love, but he saw they liked him. He enjoyed the time. But the other kid was, you know how I said mischievous. He was type of. He would put the blame on him, and he would go, what I do, and then they would believe the other kid because he was much older, so not much older, but like a year older, so they thought that he would tell the truth. So then little by little, this kept happening. For example, the older boy would break a vase, break a chair or something, but he would always be like, oh, he did it. And the parents on the way, grew tired of it. And they were like, if you don't stop breaking stuff, which of course he did not, we're gonna send you back to adoption. And the kid was like, why, you know? I haven't done anything, but they wouldn't believe him. And then the kid again started getting depressed, like he was in the orphanage. And they actually did send him to adoption again. It was pretty sad. And
1 minute.
well, the boy again went back to the orphanage. I guess you could say chilled there for a bit. He tried his best, kept trying to find better things to do. He kind of took what he got from where he lived before, how to be more friendly. He saw that don't be boring, try to talk to people. And so he did that. And finally, now he's in middle school, obviously, he's much older. He does sports now. He, of course, one day this wonderful, like, not rich family, but a good amount of money family came, and I like this boy. I did something with this boy. He was so playful, he was so cool. And you know what, you're coming with us. And they're like, let's go. So they took him, the kid went, had 2 sisters, and had the time of his life, enjoyed it, and yeah, he enjoyed life. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Michael, what are the junior high and high school poetry contests coming back up again?
Yeah, we're going to have a thank you very much. We're going to have a poetry slam second week of March. So I'll be sending out flyers. If you are out of district, let me know and I'll send stuff to your school. But that's a lot of fun. It's at Salinas High School, the Performing Arts Center there. Good times. That's the high school, and the junior middle school is the following week in March. Okay, next up is, I think was Jonathan Anderson here? Okay. Is Kenya here? Okay, Rosalba? Rosalba?
Okay, so my name is Rosalba Rosco. I come from Alsa.
Yeah,
So there once was this little girl. They would always see her, her parents would always see her as a good child, always doing everything, her homework, always behaving in school. But when she would get to school, she'd be somebody else, turn into evil, be doing things that she shouldn't be doing, like talking back to teachers, but then
You got this.
Well, you left us up there with these bad things, right? Just think about what do you want to tell them that they should know about you. Do you want a lifeline? Does anybody know the story?
And then she found a boyfriend.
Boyfriend.
So she found a boyfriend, and her parents did not know who she was talking to, and then they realized, oh, she has love notes in her backpack, and they're asking her, who's this, or who are these notes from? And then she'd be like, no, I don't know who they are. So my friend probably just put them in there out of nowhere. And then, so her dad comes in, and then her dad's, oh, who are these notes from? And then she would be like, I don't know. They just magically appeared there. So the next day she goes back to school, sees her boyfriend, and mischievous. I don't know what else. And they broke up.
Rosie, is your mother in the audience? Okay, thank you.
We could do a contest, everybody writes something on there, always avoid it.
Okay, our next one is, judges, okay? Montserrat. Now, if there's a boyfriend in this one, please.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Montserrat Soto and I'm coming from Asa High School. Okay, so have you guys ever been in a big public space and then, where's your dad? Where's mom, right? So there was this little girl who would always get lost. I'm saying always. Like, I'm pretty sure she did not want to be part of the family. So one day they were out in a farmer's market and then she was looking out, all these people, all these stands, right? And wait, where's mom? Where's dad? She starts crying, like, I mean crying, like crying, you know that kind of cry that when they just cry and they can't stop crying, that kind of cry. So this really nice old lady comes by and asks her if she's okay. Still crying. So she grabs her by the hand and asks her, honey, are you okay? Is there anything I could do for you? And then she's like, my parents, I can't find my parents. I think they left me. They don't want me anymore. So the lady just grabs her and, okay, let's go walk around and see if we find your parents. So they walk and they walk and they walk and they get to the lady's stand. There, the little girl is shook. She's like, oh my God, look at all these colors, the reds, the greens, the orange, everything. She's just surprised seeing like everything around. And then the old lady realizes how the little girl's so amazed by all the fruits. And she's like, honey, would you like some fruits? And she's like, sure. So she gets a mango. Little did the lady know that the mango was the little girl's favorite fruit. So the little girl's there eating, you know, just having the time of her life. She even forgot about her family was lost. So then the little girl realized something next time she got lost, that she cried again. And another little young lady comes and gives her food, but this time it was tacos. Next time she gets lost again, she gets a toy. As she keeps growing older, she realizes that if she cries and she just cries and cries, people will try anything to make her stop crying. So then, let's say she's 5 years old, she starts crying in the playground. Her best friend, she stole the bike she wanted. Come on, guys. Right? Yeah, we've all been there. So she starts crying. She tells the supervisor, my friend took my bike. That's the pink sparkling bike with the little horn that I always get, and she knows it. Crying, crying, and crying, and crying. See, you've been there before, huh? So then the supervisor tells her friend if she could be a nice friend and let the little girl have the little bike, right? Because friends are supposed to do that for friends, you know, sharing is caring. So then the little girl gets the bike. High school comes. You know, high school gets really crazy. Her best friend is talking to the guy she likes. Her best friend. So there she is, you know, oh, here comes Michael. Michael's coming, you know, getting all ready, her hands on, put some lipstick on, all that good stuff. And then she starts crying because she sees that Michael just texted Rochelle. And yes, she texted her and said, meet me at the lunch line at 12:45. That's no bueno, right? So she starts crying, crying, like everybody was scared, like, are you okay? Are your parents fine? Are you lost again? You know, that kind of stuff. So then she's like, how dare you get Michael from me? How dare you? So then the friend, you know, is the same friend from kindergarten. I don't know how she's still with her. Anyways, she's like, you know what? If you really love Michael, I'll leave Michael for you. You go out there and go stand in the line with him. Time goes on. She has a sister, a little sister. And the little sister, you know when babies are little, oh, it's a baby here, give it to your little sister, she's just a baby. Well, this family, I don't know what kind of family she was in, because
they would give everything to the bigger sister. And as she grew up older and older, she realized that by trying, she would get anything she wanted, just complaining and complaining and complaining. But one day, she met a guy. And that guy was not my close best friend. Love is love, right? Anyways, that guy taught her that you don't always have to cry to get what you want. Just talking to someone and realizing that just by a simple conversation you'll be there. And you know, it's just about talking. She cried in it. Anyways, this girl that I'm talking about is my sister, and she took my room because she messed up. Thank you.
There we go. I'm sure people could relate to that. Okay. You guys are okay? Yeah. Diego Barajas.
Hi, so my story also involves a boy, so I hope you can bear with me. My name is Diego Barajas and I come from Alisa High School. Anyway, so when I read the theme, that the theme was mischief, only one situation came to mind, which was back in 9th grade. Now, currently I'm an openly gay guy, but that wasn't the case back in 9th grade. So I met a boy, which shall remain anonymous. And we both played the straight best friend kind of role for pretty much the entire year. And so finally, one night, we were texting, and he said, "Have you ever snuck out before?" Me being the responsible student that I am, I said, "No." But he encouraged me to do so, and because love is so powerful, I decided to follow along, which I kind of regretted. So he said,
Might be a button on
He
there.
says, well, you know, you could sneak out and you could meet at my house. I said, well, that's fine. I'm down, faking that I'm the brave one. So the first problem I have is thinking of how do I get my parents to think I'm still sleeping in bed. So I look at my bed, I look at the pillows, I look at the bed, and immediately I'm thinking, right, I'm gonna stuff the pillows underneath the blankets. Now I'm a very thin frame, so the pillows did not mask anything. I mean, you can clearly tell that that was not me. So the next problem I had was how to escape out of the window. So the window had a net, and I tried pushing it out, but it left a brown stain on my hands. So the next best thing that I thought was cutting. So I looked at my backpack, got some scissors, and started cutting away at the wire. This made tremendous noise. Thankfully, my parents are really deep sleepers. Otherwise, this would have been impossible. Anyway, so I made the hole big enough for me to slip through. Once I slipped through, I realized, wait, I don't have shoes on. Now, a reasonable person would simply jump in and think, you know what, this probably isn't the best idea. I should go to sleep. But me being so in love with this boy, I decided, you know what, I will walk 15 minutes barefoot in the cold in the streets of Salinas to meet this boy. So, as I'm walking barefoot in the cold, I realized, you know what, I could turn back if I really wanted to, but I have to meet this boy. So I get to his house, barefoot, cold, freezing, and tired, and sleep deprived. It's 12 a.m. by the way. I see the lights in his house are dark, and I get slightly disappointed because I'm thinking, well, he was just leading me on. He didn't actually intend for me to sneak out of the house. As I'm turning away, I notice that the light turns on, the window opens, and I see him slip out of his window. Now this boy, let me tell you, this boy was dressed head to toe like if he was going on a date. His hair was done, I mean his shirt was ironed, his shoes were like clean. And then there's me, tired, sweaty, barefoot, just right in front of him, a complete mess. I'm surprised he didn't just jump in the window, like, what are you doing here? So he says, well, you know, well, what now? And I said, well, have you ever snuck into a building before? He said, no. Well, I said, I know of a place we could go to sneak in, but, I mean, we can't steal anything because it's it's not our property. So he says, well, where are the keys? I said, well, I can't say where I got the keys from, but let's just say somehow, some way I have them in my possession. So we walked to this building, which shall remain nameless because of legal purposes. We walked to this building, we get the keys, we enter, and we start snooping through everything. I mean, this building, we wanted to go into this building since we got to that building. We didn't steal anything though, we weren't that mischievous. We should have though. As we're snooping through the building, we realized, wow, it's getting pretty late. It's around 2 a.m. at this point. We close the building, we hide the key, and he says, well, I mean, what now? And I said, well, I mean, are we gonna walk home? Are you gonna walk home? He tells me, well, I'll walk you home. So we start walking home, and I noticed that the light is on in my room. I had turned off the light before I left my room. I immediately started freaking out. I almost teared up right on the spot. He says, why is your light on in your room? I said, I turned it off. I get closer to the window, already freaking out, thinking of my parents are gonna kill me, they probably knew I snuck out. And then I slipped back in through the window and I realized that my brother had arrived. At this time, my brother was still with us, because he's 2 years older than me. And he was sitting in my room waiting for me to come home. He said, well, where were you and why is this pile of pillows right here? This doesn't look anything like you. I said, oh, I was just getting fresh air. He said, it's 3 a.m. in the morning. So I turn around to the window and I motion for the boy to leave. He leaves, and to this day we're still friends. We're very close friends actually, but we never done anything as mischievous as that before.
Some elements of the escape from malice control. Thank you, Diego. And we move along. Also, a film festival. We have a film festival in April. If you're interested, flyers went out to teachers. Again, if you're outside the district, if you have a film you like to show, you can get a hold of me. Either tonight or through the district. Did I introduce myself? I didn't do it the last 3 times. My name is Mike Rod. Okay, our next one, Angela Hernandez.
Yeah.
Hey everybody. I'm Angela. And I want to tell you all a story about a girl I used to know. So I moved here from Los Angeles, and when I just got here, I loved it. It's so much quieter and calmer and just nicer to look at. So it was the middle of summer, and the air was so hot, I decided to sit at the edge of the curb in front of my house under a huge tree. I had no friends when I just got here. I didn't know anybody, and I had nobody to talk to. But then I met Rosario. Rosario was a very tall girl with dark almond hair, and she said everything in a honeyed voice. She was very charismatic. When she first met me, she popped down right next to me and asked me, "Hey, can I join your daydreaming session?" Of course said yes. She wasn't anything I was used to, and I really liked that. So Rosario came over every day that summer. And we would talk about everything together, and nothing at the same time. She gave me my first cigarette, and she introduced me to Frank Sinatra, their music, Frank Sinatra and Tony Bennett. She called them her idols, which I understand now. They're really crazy. So one day when we were walking to 7-Eleven, she turned urgently to me and told me, "Hey, I need to show you something." She grabbed my wrist and led me all the way to the part of town where only vegetable fields were visible. And then there it was, a huge house. It was old, worn out, brittled. To Rosario, it was a treasure. She would call it the coolest thing she's ever seen, and just a place where history was made. To me, well, it was just ugly. So she led me up to the house, and every step I took there would just squeak and squeak. And when we went inside, there was nothing. It just smelled like urine and dirt. It was disgusting. But Rosario loved it. The only thing in the house was a backpack and cobwebs on the ceiling. She went over to the backpack, which I think it was hers. She pulled out 2 cans of beer and offered me some. I took it, drank it. It was the first taste of alcohol I've ever had. And it was very gross, but I liked it because it made me feel like her. And then she pulled out what I thought was a gun from the backpack, and I took a step back and froze in confusion, but she quickly explained. She told me, "Calm down, it's just a BB gun." So that afternoon, we spent shooting cans off the windowsill of the old house. We joked a lot that day, and we laughed so hard my cheeks hurt. And she's the first person that I've ever really connected to, that I felt was part of me. Except that summer was the last time I would ever see her again. I feel sad to talk about her now, but I know, and maybe sometime in the near future, I'll find her again.
Thank you very much, Angela. Okay, is that Ethan? They got
Hi.
Can you do it without a microphone? Yeah.
Okay. Hi, hello. My name is Ethan Nagata, and I'm from Alice, Ohio. Get that applause.
Yes.
Alright. So I would like to regale you with a tale from my childhood. It's not a long story. It's a nice, short, and sweet. This story takes place about almost a decade ago, about when I was 8, and this takes place with my 2 cousins, Nathan and Chris. Now, they're both older than me, more, as I thought, wiser, more experienced with the world. I being 8 at the time, my cousin being 10, and my oldest cousin, Chris, being 14. So, this takes place during summer. In July, I often, with my cousin, went over to Chris's house to have fun and just enjoy the day. As we were there, he had lots of stuff. He had a big backyard, a tire swing, trees to climb and fall out of, and also Nerf guns. The greatest thing for young boys, Nerf guns. Those were amazing. We spray painted them, customized them, made them our own. And we love those. We brought every day, we were out there creating war scenarios and reliving times and telling stories, much like this, through our actions. Now, we were maybe a bit too obsessed with these. We took it a bit far one day when Chris's parents decided they were going to leave 3 kids alone for about 30 minutes, which doesn't sound like a bad idea. But given the rules, no guns in the house, and 3 young boys, wasn't going to go well. So what we decided to do was, while they're out, let's explore the house with our guns. So we were kicking down doors and going through hallways, trying to find all the evil men to take care of. When we got the brilliant idea, our oldest cousin, oldest man, he got the brilliant idea to have us play dodge the foam bullets. So we were stuck in the hallway, me and my cousin. We were side by side as he was unloading with his Nerf minigun, dodging side to side, going, using each other as shields, trying to get out of the way. When boom, my cousin gets hit. Oh, he goes down. No, there's no time for sadness. I'm still dodging. It's the Matrix. I'm like Neo. I see him passing, and then all of a sudden he's going, and I'm like, oh, time for my final maneuver, the head move. And it turns out walls are not very forgiving on heads. So, of course, this story's a little blurry because head ain't but what I do remember was looking up from the ground and seeing a crack in the wall. I'm like, oh, that's not good. So we get up, my cousin's in shock. He's like, my other cousin is frozen, still shocked, unaware of the horrible actions that have just occurred. And that is the end of my story. I'll save for when the parents come back for another day.
You guys are a great audience, by the way. Give yourselves a hand.
Okay, next is Audrey. She's not from Salt Lake City.
I don't want to hate her, but I'm a Viking.
Your story tells us that. We're all on to
Alright, so I just want to be clear. What I say here stays here. I don't want my sister killing me after this. She's gonna remain anonymous. So I was probably 8 when this happened, and she was about 6. So our parents were kind of just like outside in the living room, just lounging on the sofa, you know, just watching a rated PG-13 movie. And so my sister and me, we were in our bedroom, and so my family basically all lived in we all slept in one room. So me and my sister, we had this bunk bed. I got top bunk because I was the oldest, and she had the bottom bunk because she was the youngest. And my mom, she slept on the little mattress on the ground. And so we thought it was just we wanted to try out this thing that we heard in a song about monkeys and breaking heads open. And so we were just like, whoa. We just looked at each other, and she was like, this is not going on record, right? And she started doing this at me. I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm winking at you. So I just never asked her to wink at me again. And so we started jumping on the bed, just and it was so fun. So I got bored of it after 20 seconds. And so we just we couldn't find anything else to do. And so we looked at the bunk bed, we looked at her mattress, we looked at the mattress on the ground, and we looked at each other. We were like, and so, well, I remember my little sister went first, and so my little sister, she's super cool. She does anything, she does triple down dares, she doesn't wash her hair before dinner. She was the thing. And so she was like, all right, I can do this. And so she just took this huge running start and jumped. So you know how there's this little wooden board on the bunk bed? And so she's not really athletic. She just smacked her head. And so she just bounced right off of it, like a trampoline. And so she just fell back on the ground and she just stared at the ceiling for a second. And she was like, there's angels. And so I told her, you gotta like teach you gymnastics. And so my parents came in because they heard her crying. They were like, oh my God, what happened to our little baby? Audrey, what did you do? And so I'm over here, I'm like the angel child of the house. I can't ruin my image. And so I said, I was in the bathroom and she just like tried to climb into my bed and she's not athletic, yo. She just spazzed out. And so my parents didn't believe me because at 8 years old, I didn't know how to lie. It's the saddest part of my childhood. I never learned how to lie. And so then I was 8 years old and then finally like pieced together what happened because my little sister snitched on me. She was like, so she told me to do the thing. And so I was over here just like, no, we're done now. And so that's why I think my parents still never let us in a room alone anymore. That's probably why.
Thank you. And how much will you give us if we don't tell your sister? Cool. Okay, our final person on here is from Salinas High School, Miss Shelby Ward. And her dog. What's the dog's name? Token? Is he part of?
No, she's just my emotional support.
Okay, cool.
Full name is J.R. Hartford.
Well, this story involves mischief, hiding places, and ghosts. I hope you enjoy it. Anyway, back in a lot of summers I go over to my cousin Jacob's house and we hang out and, you know, do teenager things. But at the time, we were probably only 12, around there. And Jacob wanted to show me this really cool hiding place that he found. And so we were walking, and on the way, there's like this construction work going on, and there's a bulletin board up front. And on it is a newspaper clipping that says, "Construction man recently deceased in fatal accident." And so I'm already getting chills because I'm a wuss and I can't deal with my superstitions. But anyway, we go on to the hiding places. It's like tree after tree. Take a right at this bramble bark, and then a left down this narrow deer path, and we finally get there, and it's like this little cove out of a bunch of trees, like form this little nice area, and it's all surrounded by tall grass, and this grass is really tall. So we're hanging out, you know, doing our deeds, and I don't want to say anything specific because the police might get involved, but after a while we're hearing like these rustling noises, and they sound pretty far off, so we don't pay mind to them. It's probably just a rabbit or something. And so after we keep talking again, and then once again this rustling is getting louder, and it's sounding more like footsteps coming closer in our direction. And so the two of us were dead quiet, just staring at behind each other and back in the direction of these footsteps, and eventually a big black boot steps out of the grass. And the two of us freak out, and I grab my backpack and swing at where the person was to maybe get them to leave. I don't know what I was thinking, but there was the backpack just went in one swift motion through the tall grass as if nothing was there. And the two of us hightailed it out of there. No way we're gonna deal with that, whatever was back there, you know? Looking back, you know, maybe it was just some construction worker, or maybe we were on some site we weren't supposed to be on, but I like to think it's ghosts, because, you know, that shows you there's a little spook out in the world. Thank you.
Very good. Is that all for as far as students? Anybody come in lately? Okay, well, we're going to take about 2.5, 3 minutes to tabulate the scores. But in that meantime, I'd like to tell a story. Want to hear it? Yes. It's a story within a story within a story. I was a teacher at Alvarez High School, and I had a GATE class, and everybody was really rambunctious, and they were the smartest people in the world, of course, because they were gifted. And there was one real quiet young man, kind of looked like Bambi, and he didn't say much. And everybody else was right. I did the story, you know, etc. And so I gave them an assignment. It was basically, it's going to be the hardest assignment of your life. You have to talk to your parents and get a story out of them. And immediately they went, what? My parents, they're boring. My parents don't have stories. They just work and cook dinner and yell at me. So that was for over the weekend. Everybody turned their papers in of stories, and they were going, gee, my parents are kind of interesting, actually. But Bambi didn't turn anything in. So I took them aside and I said, I'll give you next weekend to write the story. Go home, talk to either your mom or dad, and get a story. He didn't talk much, he just nodded his head. So the next week, the Monday, he came up and turned in the paper, and I said, congratulations, you know, did you get a good story? And he goes, because he didn't talk much. And so, and then he left, and I went home and I read this story. And here's the story that his dad told him. He said, when I was a young man, when I was a boy actually, a group of us used to go to a baseball park and we played baseball there. So one day we were walking down the street going to the baseball park, and a guy in a convertible, kind of like a Cadillac, stopped the car in front of us and said, where are you guys going? And of course we had baseball bats and gloves, and we said, we're going to the ballpark. And he goes, oh, let me give you a ride. And said, hop in. So they got in, and then he said, you know, I was a baseball player. And we all went, oh. Now what team did you play for? Well, it was the Beaumont Bears. We never heard of that. He goes, oh, it was a farm team of the Baltimore Orioles. And then we said, oh, really? So you played professional baseball? We were amazed. And the guy said, yeah. And he told us a few stories. we got to the ballpark and he let us off, and then he said, "Good luck with your baseball," and he left. And we never saw him again, but somehow we were walking and we never saw that car again. But when we walked back one day after playing baseball, we went by and we saw this house, and there was a little thing of Beaumont Bears. And we said, "Wasn't that the team that guy talked about? Let's go knock on the door and see if he's in, because he's a real baseball player. Maybe he'll sign an autograph or something for us." And everybody agreed, so we went in. We knocked on the door, and a woman came to the door, and we said, "Can we talk to the man that's the baseball player?" And her face dropped. And she said, "Could you say that again?" And we did. And she said, "Well, come on in." And she was very sad. And she said, "If you're talking about that man," and the picture on the wall of a man in a baseball uniform, "if you're talking about him, he died 2 years ago." And then I said, "Really? But we saw him just a few weeks ago." And she said, "No, he died. And then over there's a picture of his car, and it was the car that we drove." And we were amazed by it. And we left. So that's the story. Now the story within the story is, your first question is, was it true? So, for me, a great story is the one that after you hear it, you say something like, "Was it true?" or "Wow, what does that mean? Was that a ghost we saw?" And I never went back to the guy that looked like Bambi and asked him, "Is that a true story?" And to this day, I ask myself, was that a true story? Because the guy was a very plain, the kid was a very plain person and didn't seem to joke or do anything like that. Anyway, that's my story. Okay, and now I think we have the winner, so...
now another hand for Gina, huh?
Gina is officially on payroll this year.
How about a hand for the judges?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mark has got his buns under 10, I think, so that's a record. Okay, everybody
Should be kept under lock and key.
Let's see. Everybody will get a certificate for participation. I want to thank you all. For people outside the school system, most of all these students, are just doing this on their own time. They're coming here on their own time, and they kind of went out of their out of their way to make this happen. So I really want to thank everybody that participated, and you will be rewarded. Next week, I'll get the superintendent to send you some certificates. Okay. The money. Okay, so for third place, and that is $50, is Audrey Tran. And you'll learn this later on in life. It's called "The Check is in the Mail."
There's another story.
What you got to do is, the man taking the picture, put your name and address on the envelope. He'll give you it, okay? Right after we finish. Okay, second place. Angela Hernandez. So thank you very much, audience. We want to make this, we have to make this an annual event, so those people that are here, tell all your friends next year to come on over. Especially I want to thank everybody for participating in this. Okay. And you guys, could the three of you go over to see Eric and he'll get you the envelopes for your money. Okay? Last thing, one promise. You must tell a story tomorrow sometime to somebody.